latest again, we will be taking a look at few of the videos, supply chain and network operation. Okay.
All of us are interconnected, a web of dynamic networks. From the time we're born to our toughest challenges and biggest achievements, we intersect in millions of moments. In this highly integrated world, we constantly rely on the power of seamless technologies, scalable infrastructures, and agile solutions to respond to the real-time events in our lives at local and global levels. The connections we share with each other and the well-being of our society are held together by a network that is rapidly evolving.
AGILE, and my reference. It's a very frequently agile. Agile means you need to be flexible, adaptable to whatever changes are taking place. Right? Agile leadership को भी use leadership के आगे भी use किया जाता है. One the person who is quite flexible in nature. Right? कुछ भी change होता है तो he or she can adopt to that particular change.
Evolving with new capabilities, data, and points of interaction. Our world continues to change at an accelerating pace. The journey continues on to build an intelligent, connected, and secure supply network that sustains our modern, digital, and human-centric way of life. We must also continue to address the legacy technology challenges of the near term, while building the infrastructure that supports the diverse needs and expectations of tomorrow. Automation, real-time response, sensor integration, and additive manufacturing will not only transform the enterprise, but our life's outcomes. At Deloitte, we dream of a better future. Intelligent communications between people and technologies to deliver on the promise of a more responsive world across ever-evolving dimensions of connectivity. Can integrated analytics enhance practitioner effectiveness at the point of care? And can we autonomously provide customized life-saving drug availability for our most at-risk population? Can we create a better work experience for a single parent trained in factory operations by enabling remote issue management? Can we integrate customization into manufacturing and production to re-engineer customer engagement as a continual, digitally driven experience across life stages? We are all a series of daily actions that impact our family and friends, our communities, and the greater world at large. What we dream up, produce, purchase, and deliver enables our homes and lives to be better navigated with technology. How this technology moves with the rhythm of our lives, this is the future of supply networks. We are all part of one interwoven digital fabric, one network, one common destination as passengers, in the shared experience of life. We are all connected. Deloitte Supply Chain. We keep the world turning.
Not more of an ad of that company, but we'll take a look at another video.
Hi, so this week we are talking about supply chain networks. Now, I recently posted a comment on LinkedIn, and I'll actually read it. I basically said, what are the top 3 factors to consider? It's a constantly changing need, isn't it? Comment below. You see, what happens is our service offers change, markets change, suppliers change, and the need for a supply chain network changes. Now, what I've been seeing this year particularly, I mean, we always get a lot of work in our consulting business to analyse supply chain networks and to realign them. What I've noticed a lot this year is a heap of businesses. Shape should your supply chain network be, and what are the factors that drive the shape of it? Coming right up. Okay, so it's been some interesting replies coming back on that LinkedIn post. I was curious to see what people thought were the 3 biggest drivers of, if you like, the shape of the supply chain network. What things would drive change in the supply chain network. So here's my view. I'm not saying it's the only view. If you have other sort of views and things that you think absolutely impact the shape of a network, do comment below. I'll be really keen to see those. So I'm going to put up a diagram here, a little triangular diagram with 6 things on it. I like to keep things simple. So these are the things that I think influence the shape of the supply chain network. And what I mean by that predominantly is where stock holding facilities are located, how many there are, and so on. So let's start top right on that diagram. And look, I've redesigned supply chain networks for the last 20 years. I'm prepared to be called out on this. But I think the thing that shapes your supply chain network the most, the thing that has the biggest impact, is the location of your customers and the service offer that you're delivering to those customers. Absolutely, hands down, has the greatest impact. So just think about it for a moment. If you have customers who want a 2-hour service time from placing their order, what does that mean? You've actually got to have product within 2 hours of your customers. You know, it doesn't matter if you're going to fly it, send it on a boat, a train, a truck, whatever. It's got to be able to be delivered to the customer within 2 hours. If you have a service level that says, hey, deliver today and we'll get it to you in a week, well, there you go. You don't have to be so close to the customer. Now, why does the customer location and service have such a big impact? Well, first, it kind of draws your inventory towards the customer because, you know, you've got to be able to meet that service level. But also, if you think about it in terms of distribution costs or supply chain costs, service offer, what is side of the triangle then? Now we look at the suppliers.
Diagram in mind. See, can you tell me the basic difference between distribution channel and supply chain network? Are they one and the same, or is something part of something? What exactly is distribution channel?
Sending out product to the customer.
Right. So manufacturer, wholesaler, right, or retailer and stuff. This is simple distribution channel, right? It can be network is more complex compared to channel is just a route, right? Whereas network involves everything. Supply chain network means right from procuring the raw material till delivering of the goods, right? Again, you have to keep this difference in mind. The way we have studied yesterday, logistic, right? Difference between logistic and supply chain. Channel of distribution is just a part of supply chain network. Network is quite complex and it's quite large in nature. Channel से जैसा मैं आपको I'll show you. I'll stop this video. Show you the figure. You must have studied this in marketing. Distribution channels. This is simple diagram. So this is a channel, right? Distribution channel. It can be directly producer to consumer. Can you give me an example? Producer directly reaching out to the consumer or a manufacturer. Plenty of examples.
Example of bakery products.
Example of
Bakery products.
bakery products. Can you quote a name?
Shabana.
It can be any small bakery. Ajit bakery भी हो सकते हैं. वही वो तैयार करते हैं और directly the customer goes and reach there. Or most of the product which you order online, right? You place an order to manufacturer most of it. Amazon के through कर रहे हो तो then he or that Amazon becomes the middleman. उसको middleman भी बोलते हैं, agent भी बोलते हैं, right? third party logistic भी बोलते हैं उसको. So this is a very simple network. This one, producer to consumer. You can add retailers. Any example for this? Producer giving it to retailers. No, there is no wholesalers involved. Most of the FMCG product. Right? वो ट्रक लेके निकल जाते हैं, वो टेम्पो रहता है, फिर वो पूछ लेते हैं कितना आपको चाहिए, आज एग्स कितने चाहिए आपको. तो अंडे के भी wholesalers होते हैं, but many products, fast moving consumer products, wholesaler की अपॉइंट नहीं करते. बहुत सारे manufacturers like Vithoba Dantamanjan, जो नागपुर का brand है, it has become very famous, right? So here, probably because he is located, the manufacturer himself is located in Nagpur, he don't want a wholesaler. Probably the auto will start from the manufacturing unit which is there in Ingna, and they will go to all retail shops. कि आपका कुछ order है क्या? कितना चाहिए आपको? So this is how it is done, producer to consumer. When you add retailers, जैसे मैंने दंतमंजन का बोला, कि usually you won't order दंतमंजन from the manufacturer. He won't be able to supply it also, right? So here he need retailers, and then comes the picture of wholesalers, where your geographical area is very large. Practically, as a manufacturer, you cannot go and reach out to each and every area. Example of car, automobiles, right? Automobiles are purchased by everybody. एक farmer भी purchase करता है, tractor purchase करेगा for example. तो वो तो काफी रिमोट जगह पे रहेगा. तो वहाँ पे कैसा wholesalers comes in. वो बोलते हैं कि fine, we will concentrate only on manufacturing because that is our expertise. Manufacturer बोलेगा. वो appoint कर लेगा wholesaler and wholesaler will take care of all the distribution network or distribution channel. तो वो हो सकता है होलसेलर खुद के अंदर और रिटेलर्स कर ले. इट डिपेंड्स कंपनी क्या स्ट्रैटेजी बनाती है कि होलसेलर को बहुत बड़ा एरिया दे दिया जाए तो ही नीड रिटेलर्स इन दैट, राइट? तो यूजुअली ऑटोमोबाइल कंपनीज कैसे हर सिटी में एक उनका ये रहता है नेटवर्क, होलसेल डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर रहते हैं, राइट? जैसे ऑटोमोटिव का मैंने एग्जांपल दिया. Plenty of all the car manufacturers they have usually one wholesaler in one city. या बहुत बार बहुत सारे ब्रांड तो नागपुर को ये करते हैं, अमरावती, भंडारा, गोंदिया में ही देंगे. जैसे किया फॉर एग्जाम्पल व्हीकल, उसका शोरूम यही है. महिंद्रा एंड महिंद्रा वन शोरूम इज देयर इन अमरावती, बट वी हैव अ शोरूम हियर इन नागपुर ऑल्सो. हिंगना रोड पे चले जाओगे तो आपको सेम गोज विद टू व्हीलर्स. टू व्हीलर्स का इज कंपैरेटिवली इट इज फास्ट मूविंग कंपेयर्ड टू फोर व्हीलर्स, सो दे नीड मोर रिटेलर्स. एक जैसा टू व्हीलर्स का यहाँ पे है, देवनगर में है, तो एक आपको उधर मिल जाएगा खामला में. तो ऐसे दे हैव टू अपॉइंट मेनी होलसेलर्स फॉर टू व्हीलर बिकॉज इट इज फास्ट मूविंग कंपेयर्ड टू कार. मोबाइल फोन के लिए भी काफी रिटेलर्स लगेंगे. अपने कॉलेज के सामने 2-3 दुकान है मोबाइल्स. यू गो टू बर्डी, यू विल फाइंड एन नंबर्स ऑफ, वो गली पूरी मोबाइल से बैठे, आपको कवर से लेके सब मिल जाएगा. So it depends on what sort of goods you are here, and that's why this network designs come into picture. As a marketing student or as a logistics student, supply chain student, as a manager, it will be your responsibility to decide कितने डेप्थ तक जाना है नेटवर्क. ये होलसेलर पे सब छोड़ देना है या whether you should instruct the wholesaler to appoint, and it requires science, right? कि कौन से एरिया में कितना पोटेंशियल. Like you go to Dharampe, you'll find more and more shops compared to shops in south में ये अपना ईस्ट नागपुर, मानेवाड़ा वो साइड चले जाओ उधर भी रहेंगे shops, but compared to this area the potential is less. This is what the manufacturer may perceive. Accordingly they will design according. जैसे एप्पल का शोरूम पता है आपको कहाँ है? एप्पल का इज इन सदर. Why Southern? Because they know that area do have businessmen, काफी लोग रहते हैं, गवर्नमेंट सर्वेंट्स रहते हैं, तो परचेसर वो एरिया से आना. एक ही शोरूम है एप्पल का. They don't have policy for retailers. एक सिटी में एक ही देते हैं. एक सिटी मेरे ख्याल से विदर्भ में एक ही, अमरावती और भंडारा वगैरह में नहीं. तो they'll have only one exclusive because they know their product is niche product. NICHE, niche means affluent या तो फिर elite class ही purchase करते. If it is branded, I'm saying it comes with a premium, like Mercedes-Benz for example, right? So you will never find their ad on television because they know it's not for common man. It is for somebody whose income is very high. That person can only afford it. Probably you can see Maruti's ad on television, उसकी भी कम आती है क्योंकि वैसे बिके जाए. बाकी इसके देखेंगे आप ad, but you will never find ad of Fortuner or for that matter Mercedes-Benz or for that matter Audi. ये इसके ऐड आपको सिर्फ इंडस्ट्रियल मैगजीन्स में दिखेगी. आप इंडस्ट्रियल मैगजीन खोल के देखोगे, they will put it in general magazine also because targeting is important. That is all part of it. Accordingly, distribution भी जो है you have to decide on the area of potential. like गलचोरी में कोई मार्जिन इसका Mercedes-Benz का शोरूम नहीं, because that overall area don't have that potential. And if somebody wants that product, that customer will come to Nagpur. Similar things goes with other area. तो आपका नेटवर्क डिजाइन कैसा रहेगा, इस पे आपको काफी विचार करके वो मार्केट स्टडी करके ही आपको डिसाइड करना अकॉर्डिंगली. बिकॉज सी जब आप ये नेटवर्क डिजाइन करते लॉट ऑफ एफर्ट्स गोस, यू हैव टू सपोर्ट दैट नेटवर्क मेंबर आल्सो. आप देखोगे कंपनीज के लोगोस लगे रहते हैं, बहुत बार कंपनी बहुत सारे बैनर्स और बहुत सारा जो फ्लायर्स वगैरह देते हैं it has to be supported by the company. कंपनी का भी इन्वेस्टमेंट जाता है, बहुत बार तो कंपनी खुद बना के भी देती है इस पेट्रोल पंप पर आपका सेल इतना किया तो एचपी आपको स्ट्रेट डालना चाहिए, आपका सेल कम है तो नहीं मिलेगा. So many a time company also would like to invest on the wholesalers because they know that ultimately he is the ambassador for the company. जितना उसका शोरूम अच्छा दिखेगा, लोकेशन अच्छा होगा, it is going to create a positive impact on the consumers. So network design is very very important. Selection of ये जो अगला टॉपिक है ना अपने relationship जो दिया गया है, this is all part of procurement and suppliers relationship, right? So this is very important. What I'm talking right now is how good you are and how healthy is the relation with your network member. जितना अच्छा रहेगा तो वो wholehearted like Asian Paints will give you those machines जो करोड़ में जाती है, 50 लाख में जाती है, which makes a paint. कोई भी कलर आप डिजाइन डाल दो उसमें तो वो ऑटोमेटिकली आपको वो मिक्स करके दे दे. तो बाकी कंपनीज चार्ज फॉर दी फ्रॉम दी रिटेलर्स और होलसेलर्स, बट Asian Paint is the only company which gives you free of cost provided you give that much of safety. So people are finding it very is promoting Asian Paint is their only target. They won't be keeping other paints also. So it is all part of healthy relationship. जितना वो सेल करेगा कंपनी का फायदा होगा, इनकम कंपनी कैन अगेन सपोर्ट देम थ्रू वेरियस स्कीम्स एंड ऑल डिस्काउंट्स एंड ऑल दे कैन गिव larger discount they can give to the wholesalers so that they can pass on the margin to the customers. जितना मुझे डिस्काउंट मिलेगा ज्यादा उतना मैं अगले पास ऑन कर सकता. बट इट डिपेंड्स ऑन वॉल्यूम ऑफ सेल. जितना ज्यादा वॉल्यूम बढ़ेगा आपका उतना ज्यादा प्रॉफिट कंपनी कमाएगी, उतना ज्यादा डिस्काउंट दे सकती. सो दिस इज ऑल पार्ट ऑफ सप्लायर्स रिलेशनशिप. इसमें दिया भी होगा सप्लायर्स रिलेशनशिप मैनेजमेंट. अगेन दिस इज पार्ट ऑफ सप्लाई चेन मैनेजमेंट लॉजिस्टिक्स. सो यू हैव टू फोकस ऑन दिस ऑल्सो. करके क्या होता है, अपन बोलते हैं कि एजुकेशन क्यों अच्छा चाहिए, तो प्रोफेशनल कंपनी विल सी द पर्सन इफ ही इज एजुकेटेड दे विल गिव प्रेफरेंस बिकॉज कम्युनिकेशन बिकम्स इजी. एक अनपढ़ गवाह उसके पास बहुत पैसा भी रहा, स्टिल वो बोलेगा कि मैं चलो मैं खर्चा करता हूँ. स्टिल कंपनी फाइंड कंफर्ट विद द पर्सन हु इज एजुकेटेड. उसको ज्यादा बाकी तो टर्म्स एंड कंडीशन रहेंगे सबके लिए, बट दोनों मैच मिलते हैं कि एक बहुत पैसे वाला है but he is fulfilling the condition. One who is educated is also fulfilling the condition. That company will go with the person who is educated because it enhances the relationship. You are following me? ध्यान में आ रहा है? So this is all part of that. कि मुझसे लॉजिक यानी आपने जो सप्लाई चेन बोल रहे हैं कि सिर्फ मैन्युफैक्चर किया और कस्टमर को पहुंचा दिया और काम खत्म, ऐसा नहीं. Plenty of things are involved. Talk about supply chain, right? तो अपन यहाँ थे. E-supply chain. What is e-supply chain? Plenty of examples. Amazon, Flipkart, right? Where you order through digital platform. It can be through your mobile app, right? It can be through the website. मैं इस पे भी खोल के Flipkart open कर सकता हूँ. I can order from mobile. So anything which is done digitally, simple as that. E-supply chain. It can be ordering food on Zomato, it can be ordering food on Swiggy, it can be ordering the Ola cab or Uber cab, because you cannot order it directly. It has to be done through a digital platform only. Without digital, if you don't have internet, then this supply chain won't work. Internet is the must word. Digital जब बोलते हैं अपन, online जब बोलते हैं internet. For this, you need to have data in your mobile phone. You need to have internet. So everything, each and everything which takes place through electronic, right? E stand for electronics. इसके वीडियो है क्या देखते हैं? E-supply chain. ये तो कल देखा था अपन. This must be interesting.
Look at this, sold out. Can you believe this stuff?
So they were supposed to deliver it in October.
This is going to be an update on the kettlebell shortage of 2020.
I just want my shoe. Give me my shoe, please.
Then it was supposed to be November. No. Then December.
Give me my PlayStation. Am I wrong for wanting this, bro? I mean, everything just sucks lately. Take my money. Take my money. I don't want it. Give me my shoe.
We can't really see around us, so we have to use a radar.
Each one of these container ships can carry up to 10,000 containers, but they can have a crew as few as 20. So it puts enormous pressure on each sailor to do their job, because if anything goes wrong, the results are going to be catastrophic for supply chains.
The last thing we want is containers falling into the sea if we ever run into bad weather. We keep watch on the overall condition.
Usually takes place by sea only, right? Because airlifting bulky product is not possible. So this is the important part of supply chain. Sea routes, all sea routes. When we talk about bulk product and when we talk about the bulk demand, supply demand, it will be through these containers. Containers में note किया
of the ship, checking the mooring lines, and looking out for suspicious activities like stowaways or pirates. Sea conditions like this can last for days. The relentless pounding, the never-ending pitch and roll. I can only describe it as living under a 24/7 airplane turbulence.
The biggest container ships are as big as a skyscraper laid on its side. And one reason they've gotten so big is that when you look at all the costs, crew, fuel, etc., the bigger your ship, the more money you can make on every container. The cheaper it is, ultimately, to ship these goods. But the bigger you make these ships and the more efficient you make these supply chains, the worse things go when there's a bottleneck at one of these single points of failure.
The 400-metre-long Ever Given got stuck on Tuesday morning, running aground in high winds, reportedly after a power failure on board.
More than a dozen ships are waiting to pass through the Suez Canal. That's one of the world's busiest trade routes.
And each day of backlog, more than $9 billion worth of goods is stuck. And that translates to about $400 million an hour.
More and more shipping containers have been flowing toward us from Asia, and of course, we're not really shipping stuff back.
Now, we see a large number of ships in San Pedro Bay. Eventually that cargo is going to land. Eventually it's going to hit the beaches.
As ports get bigger, as more and more flows through the biggest ports, they become single points of failure in a global supply chain that used to be more robust.
The Port of Los Angeles and neighboring Port Long Beach represent 40% of our U.S. imports and nearly 30% of America's exports, showing just how critical this gateway is to the American economy. We have more than 15,000 international longshore and warehouse union members that work on the docks.
My job as a longshore worker is to help in the operations that move cargo through the terminals on Long Beach and Los Angeles ports. What I typically do is drive a UTR. That stands for Utility Tractor Rig. It's just kind of a compact truck that's strong enough to haul the tonnage. So what I do is I take cargo from point A to point B to a designated spot out in the yard to be stacked for outside truckers to come pick up to take to the retailer's destination.
We've been averaging 900,000 container units for 14 consecutive months. That used to be one really good month in our peak season.
We use these giant ship-to-shore cranes to unload containers. Typically, it takes 3 to 5 days, but with all of the problems we're having right now, productivity is suffering big time. It's taking up to 2 weeks to process a ship that would typically take 3 to 5 days.
Once a container's on the dock, a mix of humans, robots, and software is going to be picking it up and moving it to stacks of containers inside the port itself, where it's going to be sorted and resorted so that it's available for trucks or rail that are going to move it out of the port.
There is no room. We've gone even higher in the piles for our ground cranes to have to dig through, and we've also used every square inch available on our ports in order to put containers, and it's very, very hard to move them in a timely manner.
Ports are in some ways amazingly democratic places, which means that they're often very contentious places. You have the longshoremen, that's an extremely strong union. You have the terminal operators, you have the city of Los Angeles or Long Beach who actually owns the port. You have the ships coming in, and finally you have the drivers who are picking up shipping containers from the port. If you want to make a change, like maybe you operate the port 24 hours a day because you're trying to eliminate a backlog, nobody owns that entire system and can just dictate that that happens. There has to be consensus, and consensus with these groups of people is very difficult.
Congested ports and higher shipping costs have threatened to derail our nation's economic recovery.
After weeks of negotiation, the Port of Los Angeles announced today that it's going to begin operating 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
It does no good to keep a terminal open 24 hours a day in the hopes that truckers will come pick up a load at 3 a.m. Because if they do, they have to bring it somewhere. So not only do you have to get a trucker who's willing to come at 3 a.m., he or she has to bring it to a distribution center, and that distribution center has to be willing to accept the load in the dead of night.
We're going to try everything. We're increasing our gate hours, number of days that we work. We're going to be working overnight where required, but we're also asking others to step up too and trying to find new ways to move cargo out.
We can't be a one-man show when it comes to 24/7 operations. We're depending on the terminal operators to order the work and the rest of the supply chain to also open 24/7. When we get full on the docks, that means everyone else is not functioning properly either. And we really can't do anything about it until the other aspects of the supply chain start functioning properly.
When there's congestion in a port like this, it just reverberates, and the congestion gets worse and worse. The more that shipping times slip, the fewer ships there are to take empty containers back to Asia, so the entire system is like a traffic jam. You know, what starts as one person gawking at an accident pretty soon turns into standstill traffic for 2 hours for thousands of cars. Most goods, like our USB charger, when they leave the port, are taken a short distance by truck to the Inland Empire region, where they're processed in a warehouse before they're distributed to the rest of the country. After our USB charger is unloaded from a shipping container, the next leg of its journey is by long-haul truck.
That's okay, right there. Might get lucky and get loaded early. I'm probably going to be here about an hour. I hope it possibly could be 3. We'll just see how busy they are today and what's what their schedule's like, how fast they are. I'm not rolling, so I'm not making money. So that's part of the problem is when you sit around and wait all this time, the wheels aren't turning, you're not making any money. I am a professional truck driver. All told, over 30 years, I've been driving a truck.
There are 19 pallets. Did you want me to front load it or do you want me to double stack? You're not going to pick up another load, right?
No, how heavy is it? I'm an over-the-road driver. I'm gone typically 2 weeks at a time, roughly 3,500 to 4,000 miles a week, hauling all types of freight, everything from housewares to rice to water to beer to name it, you put it in that truck and I haul it.
people who have been interested in
You'll get shut down.
the typical long-haul truck at a big company will only be
These are all issues related to supply chain network. What we are seeing right now, like if we go back to our syllabus, factor influencing distribution network design. These are all factors. Like even small like truck driver also comes into picture. He's also accountable. He's also part of that supply chain network. Right? That's why I'm showing you this particular video, so that you can recall who are the people who are involved.
actually rolling on the highway generate.
Ports ka dekha, importance of ports, how important they are, because most of the traffic supply chain takes place through this ports only. They have mentioned also most of their import as well as export.
Generating revenue 7 to 8 hours a day. Another 7 hours or so of that day, they'll be waiting, they'll be performing other kinds of unpaid work, and then for 10 hours they're required to take a break. You're not paying the driver for the vast majority of that time. You're really only paying them for the time that they drive. New drivers might end up getting paid somewhere in the low 30s in cents per mile. What that means in terms of total income is that a new driver might earn somewhere around $40,000 to $45,000 today, and in many cases does not work out to minimum wage. Better paid drivers in that long haul segment can work their way up to $60,000 or so. An experienced driver for better companies can easily make more than $100,000 a year.
There are about 3.5 million truckers in America. There are 10 million people in the United States who have the kind of commercial driver's license that would enable them to drive a truck. So that's a measure of the number of people who've already churned through this industry. So one of the peculiar things about trucks and trucking in America is that where every other part of the supply chain has consolidated and the big have gotten bigger, trucking is still incredibly fragmented. So small trucking companies, which of course is the majority of the freight that's moved in the US, they have a limited amount of leverage, right? They are selling their services on a market where the freight brokers and the shippers have all the advantages in terms of data, in terms of being able to set rates. And so those small trucking companies, it's very take it or leave it for them in terms of loads.
The name of my company is Avalon National LLC. We're based in Cassadaga, New York. We're up to about 11 trucks right now and struggling like everyone else. The driver turnover. Ours is getting higher now because we lost a few good drivers and we can't replace the good drivers that we lost.
We really had to work at making sure that our loads were paying well enough. Our drivers that were currently on the road were staying moving, staying busy, completing those loads, but also taking into account that, you know, they are human and have a family and everything at home as well. Hold on, this is the driver. Hey Rocky, it's Ashley. You're all set to pick up that load a little bit later. She said just, you know, work your magic and try to get over there when you can. They know you're going to be a little bit late due to your drop-off time. Alrighty, drive safe. We've had trucks sitting for not having drivers, which, you know, is a big downfall for us.
You know, it's something I shouldn't be doing, but I should because I'm short drivers. Okay. So I'll drive the truck myself. It's that critical. I've owned a couple companies and it's a tough business to be into. There's times I can't even get back to sleep. I wish I could, but I can't. I just got too many worries all the time. To recruit more drivers, we've increased our pay to 71 cents a mile. That's very good pay today, 70 cents a mile. We're trying to get our benefits a little bit better. It's not the great cowboy experience it used to be. It's more complicated.
The laws, the regulations puts you up against the wall to be able to meet not only your deadline or your appointment to get your load delivered, but now you're fighting the clock in order to have a place to stay safely at night. There's not enough room to park all the trucks on the road.
Process of what we do.
Make different adjustments like that to your life to make sure that like you can physically make it through. Well, I'm awake. At least today is my last shift. So tomorrow I'll be able to bring your mail.
Working for UPS, I don't have to pay for my own vehicle or insurance.
750, fam. That's the big.
To make more and more. The most powerful financial institution in the world is telling us that interest rates aren't necessarily enough to deal with all of this inflation. As a result of these supply chain challenges, companies are rethinking where things are manufactured and how far they have to travel in order to get to us.
One of the questions that a lot of people have asked because of the pandemic is about all this manufacturing that has moved offshore, and can we move it back onshore? That was really driven by the labor cost differential, which was substantial. So moving from a high-cost country to a low-cost country, economically that's pretty straightforward. Moving from a low-cost country, reshoring to a high-cost country, that's a whole different question. We'll see some, but we shouldn't underestimate the challenge.
It's a big day for the tech industry in Texas. Samsung officially announcing it's bringing a $17 billion semiconductor factory to Taylor.
Companies like Samsung have pledged tens of billions of dollars to build factories for manufacturing microchips within the United States. Intel specifically has pledged $20 billion to build a facility in Ohio.
This is a major win for Ohio, and it's really a game changer for our economic future.
It shows just how big of a problem these supply chain issues are, and just how different the present is from any point in the immediate past.
I think what we saw during the pandemic was an inability to rapidly shift to meet changing patterns in demand. The question we have to ask is it likely to happen again?
Ukraine, they are like into agriculture and they are the largest producer of wheat. तो wheat का भी बहुत सारा export जो जाता था बाहर की कंट्री में वो भी impact हुआ है. And other things are also got impacted. Oil in particular, Russia is the largest manufacturer of oil. That has also impacted. Right? So all this examples you can quote in exam or at the time of interview. ये सब ऐसे कैसे examples अपने पास रहेगी. So that you should feel like that you are supply chain, put yourself in that shoes, right? So ये सारे चीजें, these are the factors which are affecting the supply chain network. It can be a war, simple as a war or pandemic. It can be a ship which got stuck in Suez Canal. So the issues can be anything. It can be riots which may happen at any point of time. दंगे जो होते हैं, उससे भी सब ये हो जाता है, कर्फ्यू लग जाता है तो अगेन सप्लाई चेन गेट डिस्टर्ब. दूध सुबह का दूध भी नहीं मिलता है जहाँ कर्फ्यू लग जाता है. सो यू नीड टू हैव प्लान बी रेडी एज सप्लाई चेन मैनेजर कि मुझे बिकॉज सी वंस यू गिव अ ऑर्डर, इफ यू गिव इट ऑन जोमैटो और फॉर मैकडॉनल्ड, फ्लिपकार्ट, दे विल एश्योर यू कि आज इतने समय में आपको मिल जाएगा या ये दिन मिल जाएगा. यू हैव टू स्टिक टू दैट पर्टिकुलर थिंग. अदरवाइज योर सप्लाई चेन नेटवर्क इज नॉट सिंपल. जो Amazon बोलता है कि ये Wednesday you get the delivery and you get the delivery on that. So back of it is the entire supply chain team which works. Most of the dates are actually they are calculated by the computer itself. आज order किया और ये particular product है तो कितने दिन में मेरे location पे पहुंचे. But the entire team has to work on that so that once the order is placed, you make sure that that good reaches to that particular person on the assured date. In case डिले होता है, मेरे साथ तो आज तक नहीं हुआ है, Amazon में नहीं होता बहुत नहीं मेरा हाँ वही नहीं है, इवन पैंडेमिक में नहीं हुआ. तो उसका कोई मिसमैच भी तो कोई पत्र होता है नहीं ऐसा भी नहीं. मैं तो नहीं ऐसा भी नहीं. मैं तो कितने सालों से ऑर्डर हाँ और Amazon फ्लिपकार्ट भी अच्छा इक्वली गुड है, बट आई फोन Amazon में भी गुड. तो हर चीज Amazon से ही मंगाता हूँ. उससे कैसा होता है कि यू गेट अ चॉइस, प्लेंटी ऑफ चॉइस, and you get good discounts also. Compared if you go to retail shop, you never know what is the exact price. Here the price is assured because plenty of competition is there. So again it's part of supply chain management. तो इतना अब तक समझ में आ गया? You followed everything? E supply chain किया है, impact of uncertainty ये भी हो गया है. Designing distribution networks in various business applications. This is all part of design. See, all factors will come into picture. While designing, कि सिर्फ route ही important नहीं है. Mode of transport is not the only issue. Everything is important. कि ट्रक से ट्रांसपोर्ट करना है या मिनी ट्रक रहेगा या टेम्पो से आप ये करोगे. Depends on what is the quantity of product. तो उन्होंने बोला कि ships are good because it can carry lot of containers. 10,000 of containers. Largest at a time. Right. So next lecture we'll take network optimization. How to optimize. Optimize means network optimization. Accurate करना है या तो फिर उससे ज्यादा आउटपुट कैसे मिले. Optimization is related to output. आप 100 इनपुट डाल रहे हो तो आपका आउटपुट भी 100 ही होना चाहिए. There should not be any waste. Right? So that is optimized. काफी आसान सब्जेक्ट है. इट्स नॉट दैट डिफिकल्ट. सिर्फ आपको ये जो है ना, दिस इज मोर ऑफ साइकोलॉजी इन नेचर. सप्लायर रिलेशनशिप और थ्योरेटिकल न्यूमेरिकल नहीं. पेपर देखना पड़ेगा. न्यूमेरिकल तो स्कोप कहाँ पे है इसमें. टाइप्स ऑफ परफॉर्मेंस मेजर, प्रोडक्टिविटी मेजर, यहाँ हो सकता है न्यूमेरिकल्स हो, क्वालिटी मेजर्स. बट क्योंकि मैं आई एम टीचिंग दिस सब्जेक्ट टू नर्सिंग इंजीनियर्स, उनके इसमें है कुछ न्यूमेरिकल्स, बट मेरे ख्याल से अपने इसमें नहीं होना. देखो रोल ऑफ ट्रांसपोर्टेशन इन सप्लाई चेन अभी अपने देखो वीडियो था ना. हाउ ट्रक ड्राइवर्स आर सो इम्पोर्टेंट एंड हाउ दे आर पेड आल्सो. एक एक्सपीरियंस ट्रक ड्राइवर इज अर्निंग डबल व्हाट अ न्यू ट्रक ड्राइवर. सो दैट इज द सिग्निफिकेंस एंड इंपॉर्टेंस ऑफ दिस मोड ऑफ ट्रांसपोर्ट. राइट. चलो अगले फ्राइडे मिलते हैं. और ये बिजनेस एनालिटिक्स वाले नहीं है. नहीं तो नहीं अपन डालने वाले क्योंकि दिस इज गोइंग टू बी ऑन सेल्फ लर्निंग. आपने लिए क्योंकि इट्स वेरी टिप एंड फॉर इट्स ऑल एक सब्जेक्ट पुट एंटायरली सॉफ्टवेयर. दे हैव टू लर्न सॉफ्टवेयर. बोला पहले यू मेक एश्योर दैट यू कैन कॉपी इट आउट बिकॉज कोई फैकल्टी थ्रू इंडिया की फैकल्टी पढ़ा क्योंकि इसको जो सब्जेक्ट पढ़ाते आता वो टीचिंग में क्यों है. उसको ही गेट एवरीबॉडीज प्लेस. Those who knows it very well, and a single person do not know everything. एक को R आ रहा है, एक का R में मास्टरी है तो पैथॉन में नहीं होगी. So that's why there is no faculty. मैंने I made them available the videos and books. वो self study mode पे करो, जितना मेरे से गाइड होगा I will guide you out. So it won't be there in time table. वो कहना obligatory mandatory हो जाएगा. It's not the matter with our institute. All institute are facing same problem. तो मैं उनको कुछ गेस्ट लेक्चर अरेंज कर देने वाला जो मुझे आता है एंड रेस्ट दे कैन लर्न इट फ्रॉम बुक्स एंड वीडियोस. 9 घंटे की वीडियोस आर पे 6 घंटे कर देंगे तो वो देख लिया 2-3 बार देख लिया तो हो जाए आपका. हो गया पाइथन मोर और लेस सेम स्टैटिस्टिकल टूल्स है. दोस आर ऑल स्टैटिस्टिकल टूल टू हैंडल द डेटा, लार्ज डेटा, बिग डेटा जो होते हैं ना. है इजी, पढ़ता बोला तो सब सीख सकते हैं आप. But it is a new concept, so you have to start from scratch, zero से start. राइट? चलो फाइन, थैंक यू। कुछ डाउट नहीं है ना इसमें?